This episode of the Beauté by ABIC podcast is brought to you by Murad Skincare. Hello and welcome to the Beauté by ABIC podcast, your online support community for the aesthetic and beauty industry. Here, we are strengthening and unifying the industry through representation, innovation, and education. This is a platform created and dedicated to the aesthetic and beauty industry, valuing unity and advancement. We serve to represent, support, and inspire you by connecting you with industry experts, expanding your knowledge through educational pieces, and bringing you the latest industry news. This is Beauté by ABIC. I'm your host, Stephanie Miller, and today's guest is Kristen Robinson from Murad Skincare. Kristen developed a passion for skincare 20 years ago when she struggled with acne as a teenager and young adult. Frustrated and dissatisfied with traditional westernized medicine, Kristen began a personal quest to solve her own and others' acne issues. After graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Biochemistry and working in a skin toxicology lab, Kristen left her East Coast roots to specifically contribute to the success of Murad in the United States. As a Senior Director of New Product Development, Kristen has been able to work by Dr. Murad's side, directing technology and formulation innovation within her team to create and cultivate, from concept to production, award-winning efficacious skincare steeped in Dr. Murad's cellular water principle. With over 70 innovations, including the #1 selling retinol in the United States, Retinol Youth Renewal Serum, Kristen continues to orchestrate the development of Murad's topical skincare and internal supplements for Murad's professional and retail customers. Here to talk to us about acne and why you can't treat cystic acne like regular breakouts, from Murad, today we welcome Kristen Robinson. Welcome to the podcast, Kristen.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited about today's topic and just to be able to share some conversation with you about acne.
Well, Kristen, I was actually especially looking forward to speaking with you today because you've had such an incredible journey, both professionally and really throughout your career, which led you to being an integral part of some of the most pivotal developments within skincare and within the skincare world. I would love to start today's podcast by really finding out more about you and how you entered into the professional beauty industry, but also a little bit about your progression throughout it, because it's quite fascinating.
Thank you so much. This is a story I love to share, and it really all starts with my personal journey with acne. So as an adolescent, I started to develop acne across my forehead and along my cheeks. And it only progressed, even into high school and young adulthood, where I was on a quest to solve this issue that faced me. Every time I looked in the mirror, I would even wash my face in the dark. I was so impacted by what eventually developed even into cystic acne along my cheeks and my chest and my shoulders. And luckily in the beginning, I was blessed with a selfless mom who also had struggled from acne. There's just a genetic factor there. And she didn't want her story to be repeated for me. So we went to several dermatologists, in a 60-mile radius of my home, just hungry to fix the skin condition and maybe even try to get ahead of it. And of course, with westernized medicine, it is a bit limiting in the sense that, yes, I did get some help, but it was very much related to prescription products and maybe taking harsh antibiotics or using harsh topical care. So I really became dissatisfied at a young age with that, face-to-face kind of dermatology experience, where a lot of my questions and concerns really weren't getting answered. I spend a lot of time driving to these appointments, but the turnaround might be 3 to 5 minutes face to face with that doctor. And we never really talked about other aspects, my lifestyle, my emotional wellness. Acne plays a huge part in somebody's self-confidence and their emotional kind of state of mind. And that's now in scientific literature, there's luckily very much, I think, this this move toward understanding acne as bigger than just what you can see topically, and also even thinking about gut health. And these weren't things that, in my derm experiences, I was seeing or hearing or exploring. So I just sort of started my own quest. And it was then that I discovered the Murad brand. So I was already in college at the time. I was studying biochemistry. I have my degree in biochem. I wanted to be a derm myself. I was treating my acne with all sorts of things that I tried in the past, and nothing really hit a chord with me the way that Murad did. And Dr. Murad himself is a derm. He's also a pharmacist. So there was this blend of, authority, clinical authority there. He was testing his formulations as well. So he was one of the first doctor brands making claims, proving with, efficacy, clinical efficacy, that his formulations, whether they were a cleanser or a treatment product, and even then had supplements as in a dietary supplement. And this holistic approach, it wasn't just about topical, it was about emotional, and it was about internal skincare. So I fell in love with the products. I fell in love with the philosophy. And when I decided not to pursue dermatology or medical school, I truly had no idea how I was going to contribute to the success of the Murad brand. But I knew that I was so passionate about what they were doing and kind of my personal experience with acne that at the time I was living on the East Coast. Los Angeles is the home base for the Murad brand, and that's where Dr. Murad's from. And so I moved to Los Angeles and I really just kind of set up shop. I showed up, I asked to meet doctor. I met several people, and I ended up 15 years ago, in a position as an assistant manager of new product development. So I've been contributing to the technologies and the innovations we create that drive true benefit. There's so much science and research and the steps that go into what we're creating. We're not just slapping our name on a formulation that exists. We're starting from scratch with our own R&D laboratory. We're starting with, our in-house research, clinical research team, where we're testing our formulations, and we're creating topical care as well as supplements. And so here I am now, like I said, 15 years continuing to live out my passion of solving others' skin concerns. And then my sort of bread and butter or heart really being acne. And that's really how it started for me. I hope that sort of gives you a nice picture into kind of my own acne journey and it leading into a passionate career.
You are speaking our language. I'm sure everyone listening to your words can actually relate with regards to how you felt, especially on your acne journey, and, the turmoil that it can cause within, especially a young person. And that's usually when it starts. So obviously there's adult acne that does occur, but especially on a tender young mind going through this particular really emotional, because it's emotional, it's personal, what acne can do to you. It's on your face, it's on the interface that you have between yourself and the public. It is the first thing that people see when they see you and they see your face. And I completely relate, because I went through the same thing. And I know so many people that are listening to this podcast right now who are professionals in the industry. That was one of the, I think, top reasons why people have actually joined this profession. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely agree. And I think with the young minds, just thinking about how, social media exists today. And when we were struggling with acne, I think back and wow, how fortunate perhaps that we were that element of how, apparent and aware others can be of our skin and ourselves and our self-confidence is just multiplied when it's now also in this digital media where, we can kind of see pictures of ourselves and people can comment on those pictures. And it can be extremely painful to experience it all over again, and maybe, it living on your phone. So that's particularly why I think this topic so much. It certainly led me to a successful and a very exciting career, but acne in particular, it affects millions suffer from acne. They can be teenagers, they can be adults, as you mentioned.
Yes.
They can be of all gender, skin tone, skin types. Whether it's one pimple that is, maybe it's a persistent pest pesky pimple, or you're getting your first breakout, or you've tried a million things and nothing's working and you feel like you don't know what to do. I think the other thing I reflect upon too is from a prescription perspective, when you're seeing a derm, some of those prescriptions can be quite harsh and skin might have to get a lot worse before it gets better.
Yes,
it's hard to stay compliant when that's kind of the path. So we kind of have this philosophy within Murad of like better skin every day, and ideally a happy skin journey where you're using products that are enjoyable to use and you're seeing results, whether it's little by little, or in a lot of cases, we really try to look for some rapid soothing or rapid action where we can. And we really try to create or think about our formulation design very much the way Dr. Murad approached his professional derm practice many years ago. It was beyond just topical care. It was thinking holistically about the skin concern and the person. He actually said to me once that he's had no, I want to get this right. How did he say it? I have no acne patients. Can you believe that? I've practiced dermatology for so long and I don't have any acne patients. And I knew there was kind of a puzzle there. And he said, I have patients with acne. So he's thinking about that person first. So that comprehensive lens, like long before today's wellness movement, which is like so relevant today, that's the same lens we kind of approach formulation, which is my role overseeing product development now. We want to recognize skin as the body's largest organ. We recognize this connection to overall health and wellness. So we're not really, trend-based. It's about forward thinking, definitely modern, but meaningful ways and unique ways to solve problematic skin issues. And our topic today is a huge one.
Absolutely. What you said really resonated with regards to social media.
Yeah.
My goodness, just those words, the impact that adding the element of social media into the whole emotional journey when it comes to acne. I know I grew up in a time where there wasn't social media and, I probably didn't have the most severe acne, but it made me quite self-conscious. If I had that journey completely documented from start to finish, photographed every day, and commented on, not just in person, but via a platform that is permanent, it really is there for all to see. I can wonder how much harder it is for teenagers and for young people these days with the added pressure of social media. That's an element I hadn't really even hugely considered when it came to my acne when I looked back.
For sure. It's absolutely. And I'm happy to see kind of this like acne positivity movement and people feeling comfortable in their skin. And maybe the bright side of the social media too is it's a platform or a place where you can discover brands, you can discover products, you can see maybe how there's been a lot of progress even outside of the dermatology space, probably even more progress outside of the types of prescriptions that exist. There's not a ton of innovation there, but you can, now maybe you have at your fingertips various retail products, various professional estheticians and services that they can provide. So I even think the esthetician and seeing that person monthly or on a regular basis where you have that time together to myth bust, to really understand your skin. There's a real hero there too. I think that esthetician can play in somebody's acne journey. So maybe the social media can help in that regard, but I 100% agree with you. I have vivid memories of how I was made fun of. Really, kids can be so brutal. So certainly that happening in person. And then of course, now it's on your digital device that we're so connected to now. It's just the modern way of living. So to be reminded of it there too it's just not nice.
And I love the way that you've put, here's your negative, but here's your positive spin on it.
Yeah.
You're right. When I was younger, I was struggling to find remedies and cures and doctors that could help me. It was a journey, a physical journey. You had to go out, get your mum or your dad to drive you or go places to research. Now you've got your phone, you've got social media, you've got everything at your fingertips. You can research these solutions in a more effective and faster way. And young people and people in general are getting those answers, and they're understanding the role that estheticians and clinicians play in this.
Right.
Not just the derms, it's not just your doctors. There's a whole support network now that can help you with it. And you said there's so many scientific advancements. There is actually a scientific view on acne that is and has been revolutionizing the industry with particular research into the microbiome and its relationship in the formation of acne. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yes, absolutely. In the past, in the bacteria that's involved, I kind of also want to mention, we'll get to it in the call, I'm sure, the different factors involved in acne. Okay, definitely bacteria. And that bacteria was once named P. acnes, is now called C. acnes. So when we talk about microbiome, I'm just kind of naming the type of bacteria that's related to this acne condition. And that's Cutibacterium acnes. That's kind of the scientific name for it. This latest advancement is that not all C. acnes bacteria is acne causing. So if you think about antibiotics, for example, that might blow out, all C. acnes bacteria. It's not highly precise or specific. Now, with the latest research, there are different types or phyllotypes or subgroups of the C. acnes bacteria, different families, I guess you could say. Maybe, I don't know if this is helpful, but like some are apples and some are oranges and some are bananas. And maybe it's the banana ones that, cause acne. But if you took something that was just not precise, not very specific, it would blow out the apples and the oranges. And as we're learning more and more about microbiome, which is this invisible layer of bacteria and viruses and microorganisms invisible to the naked eye, but lives on the skin, we probably know it more about like our gut and gut microbiome, but now it's becoming a bit more understood mainstream. So balance within that microbiome is really important. So we're learning that you may not want to sort of kill off all of the C. acnes bacteria. Let's look at targeting specifically the C. acnes bacteria that's acne causing. So that's very different, kind of very unique or cutting edge approach to how we can look at treating an acne or blemish skin condition.
Absolutely. I love that targeted approach. And the fact that more research is being done on it. It's not just, we know what acne is, we know what it's caused by, we don't have to worry about doing more research into that. It's a done deal. Science and passionate people are probing further into this problem because it is a little bit of an enigma, isn't it? It has been for a little while. And now the answers are starting to come forward. Can you please tell us, you touched on, we'll talk about this later, which is the types of acne. What different types of acne are there, and why is cystic acne so different?
Well, talking about the types, there are non-inflammatory or non-inflamed lesions, and then there are inflamed lesions. They're traditionally kind of categorized that way. So non-inflamed would be something like your blackhead or your whitehead. A blackhead is an open comedone or an open clogged pore where it kind of contains this combination of like sebum and corneocytes are like dead skin cells, and it's open, it's exposed to air, it can oxidize and it turns black. A whitehead is a closed comedone. So it's still kind of under this like thin layer of skin, and its inner contents aren't exposed to air, so it doesn't oxidize and kind of turn black. And it does have this like white kind of appearance. So those are what are traditionally known as the non-inflammatory. And then the inflammatory would be things like, maybe the derm would use terms like this more, but like papules and pustules and cysts, and then maybe even nodules. And there's kind of a gradation of like severity there. And cysts or cystic acne are much more on the severe side, higher of severity in quality. These are large, and they can, severity of acne can be based on quantity as well. There are kind of these like grading scales based on what maybe a dermatologist would use when they look at your sort of whole face. But going back to kind of cystic acne, these are those inflamed lesions. They are usually red, but they can feel very painful. Sometimes they even maybe feel like you can kind of feel the heat or sensation from them, like a painful sensation. Maybe they feel a bit more like they're under the skin or deeper. So those are a bit more sort of difficult to treat, or maybe take kind of a different approach. For example, something like an open comedone or a blackhead, you might want to try things that have like a nice kind of softening of the skin so that that blackhead or plug, especially if you're working with an esthetician, could be extracted more easily or readily. Maybe you want to work with something that's really going to focus on declogging, cleaning out pores.
Are you interested in discovering the benefits of Murad skincare for your business? Murad offers clinically proven results and science-backed wellness. In 1989, board-certified dermatologist and pharmacist Dr. Howard Murad founded Murad Incorporated, setting a new standard for high performance in skincare. Drawing from his roots as a pharmacist, Dr. Murad formulated innovative and effective home care solutions, leading the market as the first to use glycolic acid as a topical treatment. His scientifically proven formulas and inclusive approach to skin health have helped millions to live better lives. Murad is a dermatologist-developed brand that approaches skin differently through our 4 pillars of wellness for total health. That is because they believe that skincare is healthcare. Murad offers a completely customized facial system to each and every single client with flexible protocols designed to address individual skin health and overall wellness. Interested to learn more? Head to www.murad.com.au to book a virtual appointment to see why Murad is the change you're looking for.
Cystic acne, you still want to ensure you're getting some, exfoliation, let's say, but you also want to have a nice soothing approach. There's a lot of inflammation there. There's a lot of redness. And by the way, I'm not sure if you suffer from this from your history with acne, but for me, my acne was very cystic on my cheeks. I have scars. I have pitted marks left behind in my skin. And guess what? Cystic acne and that redness and that inflammation, the next step after that, the next sort of stage, after that acne is cleared, can be that indented scar, or it could be a pigmented scar, that post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. So you really want to have a fast-acting, a soothing approach for that red, inflamed cystic acne.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you would treat nodules? Because they are extremely challenging.
Yeah. So, and the other thing I guess I should mention as well is, in the US, as a cosmetic brand, that's kind of, where we play. We can work on formulations as drug under an FDA monograph. So we can really, and you'll see this in any brand, we're really only treating inflamed lesions, non-inflamed lesions, and we're not really speaking to like cystic acne, because that would be outside of the monograph language. But we absolutely can still provide tactics to reduce the redness from that cystic acne, kind of the inflamed appearance of that cystic acne. So I just want to kind of be careful too, because when we talk about cystic acne, which having, a conversation about is absolutely allowable. But when we're talking about it on the packaging of a product, any cosmetic brand, especially in the US, we're regulated to, in terms of like what we can say we can treat and not treat. So approaches typically for cysts or nodules, that is more of your dermatologist. But I will say, I also think that esthetician can do a great deal of work on treating things like cysts and nodules. But again, these are inflamed. These are hard to the touch. They aren't something that can be extracted easily. So a lot of soothing to those areas is really important. I know also what can feel nice too, to kind of calm that inflammation, might be something cooling. Sometimes maybe people might try just, applying a little ice pack to that area. Hydrocolloidal patches, another, I think, excellent innovation in the retail space. I wish those existed when I was around.
I know.
Really amazing efficacy of taking out that inflammation and really bringing down that nodule, cyst, pustule. They kind of work in a broad way on different types of lesions. So I think that this approach, to me, when you're talking about cysts or nodules, is I think anti-inflammatory inflammatory first, soothe that redness, soothe that area first. And then, of course, for all of these conditions, you've got to think about the buildup of the shedding skin cells. And it's a bit irregular with an acneic person, and that buildup, and then the sebum, the excessive sebum or oil. That's another aspect. And then the existence of that C. acnes bacteria. It's, and then it's kind of creating this inflammation cycle. And then, our hormones are involved there as well. So kind of thinking about that approach in the formulation too, maybe a multifactorial kind of combination of ingredients, multifunctional combination of ingredients to really help bring some relief.
Speaking of inflammation, how do you think lifestyle factors such as stress, for one, impact acne?
So stress is that fight or flight. I think when we're talking about it, we're talking about like excessive stress, that constantly being in that fight or flight, or maybe we're studying.
I think chronic stress, or, a heightened state of constant anxiety and things like that, and other types of stress. We've got plenty of other stressors in our life that can contribute to it. But in general, I suppose you touched on inflammation, and we all understand the link between stress and inflammation, excessive stress and inflammation. Can you tell us a little bit about that and the relationship with acne?
Yeah, absolutely. So stress can actually, when we are stressed, we release a hormone called cortisol, and excessive cortisol kind of circulating in our bodies. And believe it or not, our skin cells can actually respond to cortisol, or they have receptors for that. So there's a huge connection kind of, again, to like the brain and the skin, and you may not think about it, but your skin is very receptive to those types of signals. And stress can appear on your skin because this excessive cortisol can actually build up. It can break down the integrity of your barrier. It can affect kind of your immune response. And so inflammatory conditions, things like acne, can actually be worsened by a stressful condition or experiencing excessive stress. There's a study, it's a bit older study, but just showing the link between studying for exams, for example. I think we can all relate to kind of that stressful feeling, and the occurrence of acne is much higher during that stressful time. So this play of excessive cortisol circulating, it having a direct effect on skin barrier, skin's immune response. And so acne is actually exacerbated by things like stress. And in our modern lives, stress is a huge component of that. So it's not surprising that acne and occurrence of acne is on the rise.
Absolutely. I hear you. The innovation that Murad is contributing to the skincare world and to patients alike is quite, I suppose, impactful. I know that you have an actual new product that you're releasing, and it's called the Deep Relief Blemish Treatment. Can you please tell us all about this new treatment? Because I am excited about the concept here.
I love it. And I'm so happy you're so excited, because really this product makes such a difference. It's extremely efficacious. And it's another kind of resolution that Murad has, where we're not just thinking about a certain stage of acne or a type of acne. We're really thinking about all life cycle of acne, from oily skin all the way, we were talking about scars a little bit, but some of that more severe acne, or that persistent acne that's more deep set, we created a formulation that's actually specifically targeting the more persistent acne or the deep set acne, the redness, and it's driven by a combination of ingredients. And for us, the curation, and this is kind of the role that I play there, is the curation of technology is really important. And we also think about, for those people experiencing deeper set, painful, kind of that more cystic like acne, when they go to a derm, what types of treatments are happening at that level? So there's a lot of inspiration in this formulation. We're going to talk about phytosteroid in our product, but if you go to a derm, you might get something called a Kenalog shot or a steroid shot, where they actually take a syringe into that deep cystic lesion and they inject it. They inject it with steroid that's going to take down that inflammation. And over the next couple of days, you're going to see a really nice improvement. So we took that inspiration of steroid-like activity, and we found a ground cherry extract. It's a phytosteroid, meaning it acts like a steroid. It's from a plant. It has testing versus hydrocortisone. But in terms of showing that it really really helps reduce those inflammatory factors without the drawbacks of something like a steroid. So there's no thinning of the skin or any kind of, detrimental impact to using this ground cherry extract. It's going to give you a lot of nice immediate soothing with similar, I would say, to, or inspired by kind of the way a hydrocortisone would work, but without the typical drawbacks of using something like a steroid. So that's kind of a huge differentiator of this particular formulation. This product does have salicylic acid, not a differentiator for sure, I'll agree, but it is one of our favorites in terms of penetrating into that, sebaceous gland where there's the oil there and the cell buildup, and helping kind of clean out kind of that clogged pore. So that's another hero ingredient certainly for us. And then we have additional soothing agents that really help bring relief quickly to that deeper set inflamed lesion.
I can say I'm blown away right now. Why? Because I know the power and efficacy of steroids on acne because I have had that experience myself, and also understand the drawbacks of that from personal experience, right? And I always wanted to, I thought, gosh, if I could just live on these steroids, or if I could just use them on my skin every day, what a difference it would make. But the drawback is so incredibly damaging and devastating.
That's right. Devastating is a perfect word to describe it. I mean, there's a lot of people who have steroid withdrawal, and that's why it's almost a scary word, but really this is a plant extract that has, the activity to reduce the irritation and inflammation in a very potent way without any of those drawbacks. And the other piece of technology here that I didn't even mention that joins the phytosteroid and joins the sal acid is a lysine amino acid technology. Remember when we were talking about the microbiome earlier on the call, we talked about that breakthrough kind of frontier of science and looking at acne and C. acnes in particular. This amino acid technology specifically targets the acne causing strains of C. acnes. So there's so much to unload with this formula from a technology perspective, but that's another ingredient that's really driving all of the success that we're seeing with this product.
We could put our science hats on right now and be real nerds and start talking about all of the scientific elements of this product, and we could probably talk about it for ages and ages. I do have a few questions though. Like, honestly, the technology sounds incredible. You talked about the salicylic acid obviously penetrating deep into the skin. Is that your delivery method? How do you get all of these wonderful, incredible ingredients where they need to be in the skin?
The salicylic acid definitely in this particular product's at 2%. So it for us, remember I was talking about FDA monograph, and we can use these regulated ingredients that allow us to speak to treating and preventing and clearing and healing acne. And sal acid is one of those, but we know salicylic acid is excellent at penetrating. So that's certainly part of, I guess, what you could call the delivery system. And then the phytosteroid, the ground cherry extract that we're using, it itself has really nice penetration data as well. It is kind of, it's not acting at the surface of the skin. It is penetrating in those deeper surface layers to get where it needs to get to have that strong soothing activity.
And I'm glad you said soothing too, because with 2% salicylic acid, obviously it's a very balanced formula. Tell me what you do to really soothe the skin, to restore it, to give it back its balance, and really put that barrier back in place.
So this is only a spot treatment. It's not a full face. So you would apply it to affected areas. The formulation base itself is quite nice. It has ingredients like glycerin and lecithin. It also has pullulan. So we kind of get this complex of polymers and high molecular weight ingredients that lay a nice film on the skin. It keeps the water from evaporating, kind of helps keep the skin hydrated. So there's a unique quality to the formulation design itself that's going to really help with just overall in totality, how the formula is effective.
Because spot treatments can also be very drying sometimes.
Very drying.
And so it's so good. Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, it almost turns the whole natural approach one might think to having acne that's that aggressive and severe or angry. You want to like attack it and go after it and exfoliate it off my face and, you know, be aggressive in your approach. This isn't about being aggressive. This is about being very soothing and gentle and caring.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah. You know, you're almost like, you're not running from the pain or trying to erase it right away. You're like, I hear you, I see you, and I know what you need. I know what you need to be soothed and to calm down and to, it makes me think too, we haven't leveraged this anywhere, but I just recently saw that the idea of intentionalism as an ingredient where consumers are intentional about the product and as they're applying it and kind of having this mindset of clearing their skin. I just thought that was so amazing.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
I heard it and I just love it because I think, you know, when you're congruent, when your mind, your body, your actions are all congruent to one particular, you know, aim, oh my goodness, magic can happen. Because magic can happen. Honestly, you're setting your intentions with doing that. And I know this is going left field as well, but rather than treating your acne and treating yourself with shame and with aggression and with disappointment, changing and flipping the script. And that's actually what this particular product is doing, because it's not treating it in a very aggressive and angry way. It's not trying to, you know, I'm going to kill the acne. I'm going to, you know, it's more about, I'm going to restore the skin. I'm going to give it what it needs. I'm going to help to fight with you and go with the body's processes rather than going against them. Because sometimes that aggressive treatment, it actually can make things worse. It can inflame you. It can stress the person out, because when they're seeing drying patches on their skin, I mean, what are you going to do? You've got a drying patch there. You know, people tend to touch things when they're irritated. People tend to pick at things, and, you know, your skin can break when it's dry. I mean, I love everything about the sound of this product because it strips away that old mentality and replaces it with a new restorative, renewing, trying to rebalance and fix and correct the problem rather than aggressively, you know, target it.
Yes, absolutely. I think that the last 30 seconds of what you were just saying is so impactful. We could have a session just on that.
I agree. We're coming to the end of the podcast and we've just started. What are we going to do about this?
Round two.
Round two is a given, I think. I just want to thank you so much for being part of our podcast today. It's been such a pleasure talking to you. And I also want to say thank you so much to Murad for supporting the professional aesthetic industry and, as a consequence, supporting all of the patients and all of the clients that we treat. Without your support as foundation members, we wouldn't be able to do the wonderful work that we do, educating and elevating our industry and really, really making sure that the standards are of what patients deserve and what patients should expect. So a sincere thank you for being here today and also for supporting us.
Oh my gosh. And please accept my thank you on behalf of myself and Dr. Murad. If, you know, I'll pass along those words to him, because that's really how he approached even his derm practice. Estheticians were a part of that from the very beginning. And he truly feels so passionate about what you do. So know that he's just as excited to be a part of this as you are to have him a part of what you do. So thank you so very much.
You've reached the end of another episode of the Beauté by ABIC podcast, your online support community for the aesthetic and beauty industry. Thank you for listening, and until next time, stay connected.